Have you ever walked into a room and noticed how everything subtly shifts when a certain elder arrives? Not because they say anything. Not because they demand attention. But because something about them, the way they carry their years with quiet certainty, commands a silent kind of respect. If you're in your 70s, 80s, or even beyond, maybe you've wondered, do people still see me? Do they still value me? Some older adults begin to feel like they've faded into the background, no longer sought after, no longer heard. As if their wisdom, their presence, their very story, somehow became invisible. But here's a truth that doesn't get said enough. For many, growing older is exactly what makes them magnetic. There are people in their 80s and 90s who enter a space and instantly shift its energy, not with volume or flash, but with gravity. With grace. It's not about what they wear or what they've accomplished. It's about who they've become over a lifetime of showing up, enduring, and quietly learning what really matters. This video is for you if you've ever questioned why some elders are held in such high regard while others feel overlooked. We're about to uncover 4 timeless reasons why many people are more respected after 80 than ever before. Reasons that go far beyond titles, wealth, or social standing. These are soul-level truths, gathered from those who've walked life's long road and come out the other side with deeper eyes and softer hands. And the most remarkable part? You don't need to become someone else to be respected. You don't need to perform, impress, or pretend. You simply need to recognize what's already blooming within you. A presence. A wisdom. A peace that only time can teach. So stay with me. What you're about to hear might just change how you see yourself. And perhaps, how others see you too. Reason number 1, the rare gift of discernment. There's a kind of wisdom that doesn't shout. It doesn't rush. It doesn't need to prove itself. It simply is, and when you carry it, people can feel it in the room before you even speak. One of the reasons elders are often more respected after 80 is because your ability to discern, to truly see through life's noise, has sharpened in a way no textbook or seminar could ever teach. You haven't just learned more, you've learned better. Over time, you've stopped chasing every distraction. You've begun to sense what's real and what's just background static. That clarity? It's rare. And people gravitate toward it, even if they don't consciously know why. In our younger years, decisions are often made in haste, pushed by ego, fear of missing out, or fleeting emotion. But after 8 decades of living, your choices slow down. They become deliberate, grounded, rooted in a lifetime of seeing how small impulses can grow into big consequences. You've watched enough of life unfold to know when silence speaks louder than words. That's why your presence changes the atmosphere. You don't just offer advice, you embody perspective. And that brings us to Walter. At 85, he rarely gives long speeches. But when his grandson struggled with whether to quit a stable job to follow his dream, the family became a storm of opinions. Everyone had something to say. Everyone except Walter. He waited. Then, with the calm of a man who has already lived through wars of the heart and the mind, he asked, "When you're my age, what do you want to remember, that you played it safe, or that you took the leap?" That single question didn't come from theory, it came from living. From having failed, learned, risked again, and realized that regrets grow heavier with time than most failures ever do. And his grandson? He later said that one question gave him the courage to walk away from comfort and toward possibility. That's discernment. And that's why people listen when you speak, not just to hear your words, but to feel the wisdom behind them. In psychology, they call this crystallized intelligence. It's not the speed of solving puzzles or reciting facts. It's the distilled understanding that comes from decades of patterns, of people, of quiet observation. Studies show older adults often outperform younger ones in areas like moral reasoning, social judgment, and emotional insight. Not because they've read more, but because they've lived more. So if you've ever doubted whether your insight still matters, let me be clear, it absolutely does. You carry a kind of compass that others don't even realize they need until life gets foggy and they're searching for true north. And when that moment comes, they'll remember you. They'll come back to you. Not because you demand it, but because the clarity you bring feels like shelter in a storm. That is why you are respected. Not for being loud. Not for having all the answers. But for the hard-won gift of seeing what matters. And the grace to say just enough to help others see it, too. And that, my friend, is leadership in its purest, most quiet form. If you're still watching and this message resonates with you, leave a comment below with the number 2 so I know you're here, walking this path with me. And if you haven't yet subscribed, I warmly invite you to click that button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a moment of reflection, guidance, or connection. We have more to explore together. So let's keep going. Reason number 2, the quiet power of emotional stability. There's a calm that enters the room before you do. Not flashy. Not loud. Just steady. And that calm? That grounded presence? It's one of the greatest reasons people begin to deeply respect you after 80. You've lived through decades of life's tempests, illnesses, heartbreaks, career changes, family turmoil, financial upheavals, even the slow ache of losing people you love. And through all of that, you've cultivated something rare. Emotional stability. That's not something you can fake. It can't be performed or pretended. It's forged, slowly, through storms survived and lessons endured. You've lived long enough to know that most things that once felt like the end of the world weren't. And when others around you are panicking, you're the one sitting still, eyes steady, heart quiet, offering a presence that says, without saying, "This too shall pass." People feel that. They may not even be able to put words to it, but they're drawn to you because being near you feels safer. That sense of inner calm, that emotional safety, is one of the most undervalued currencies of respect. And it's no accident. There's real psychology behind it. As human beings, we're wired to seek comfort near those who make us feel secure. So when you speak with steadiness instead of panic, when you listen without rushing to judgment, when you respond without overreacting, people notice. They respect that. Not because you're trying to control others, but because you've learned how to govern yourself. Let me tell you about Franklin. He turned 83 last spring. His daughter, Clara, called him one afternoon, her voice breaking. She had just lost her job and was in tears. Everyone else in the family jumped in with advice, solutions, opinions, noise. But Franklin? He waited. And then, with the kind of voice only time can temper, he said, "First, take a deep breath. Then we'll figure this out together." That one sentence, calm, clear, rooted, helped her breathe again. It calmed her in a way that no practical suggestion could. Later, Clara told a friend, "I don't know what it is about my dad, but when he speaks, I just feel like everything's going to be okay." That isn't just comfort. That's emotional weight, gathered over time and tempered by experience. At this stage in life, you're not just older. You're more seasoned. You've stopped reacting to every little irritation. You've learned that silence often speaks louder than arguments. That not every battle needs to be fought. That peace, especially inner peace, is a strength others admire, even if they can't name it. So if you've ever wondered whether your presence still carries weight in a room, let this be your reminder. Your calm is not a lack of passion. It's the quiet evidence of growth. And younger generations? They crave that more than they realize. Because in a world buzzing with opinions and chaos, the person who doesn't panic stands out. The one who listens, who reflects, who responds with care. That's the person others trust. That's the person they respect. Emotional stability doesn't just make your own life better. It makes you a refuge for those around you. And that earns a level of reverence that no loud voice or quick opinion ever could. Reason number 3, the kindness within wisdom. There's a kind of wisdom that doesn't come with noise. It doesn't boast. It doesn't rush to be right. It simply arrives, gently, humbly, wrapped in kindness. One of the most beautiful things that happens after 80 is this. Your wisdom softens. It's no longer about knowing more than others. It's about knowing what truly matters. And being willing to let go of what no longer does. You've stopped needing to win every argument. You no longer feel the urge to prove your worth because you know it. And you've come to understand that real wisdom isn't about speaking louder. It's about listening longer. That's why people respect you. Not because you have all the answers, but because the answers you do share come from lived experience, not from ego. There's a quiet power in someone who doesn't feel the need to fix everything. Someone who's learned that sitting beside another person in silence, offering nothing but presence, is sometimes the wisest thing we can do. This kind of wisdom doesn't sparkle, but it shines. Softly. Steadily. In a way that people feel, even if they can't explain it. Psychologists call this chapter of life ego integrity. It's the stage where all your joys and regrets, your laughter and heartbreaks, are woven into one coherent story. Not perfect, but whole. And when you carry your life like that, with gentleness and acceptance, something inside you changes. You become more open, more forgiving, more generous with your time, your presence, your love. And let me tell you, people notice. Let me introduce you to Eleanor. She turned 87 this year. Years ago, she lost her husband and has lived alone since. She's had her share of grief and struggle, but every Wednesday morning, without fail, she bakes a pie and brings it to the local community center. Not because she has to, but because she wants to. One day, a young volunteer, maybe 19 or 20, asked her, "Don't you ever get tired of always doing things for others?" Eleanor smiled, wiped flour from her hands, and said, "Oh, sweetheart, the more I give, the lighter my heart feels." That wasn't just generosity. That was lived wisdom, wrapped in grace. And those who meet her often leave feeling just a little more human. A little more hopeful. Like something in them just softened, too. That's the kind of wisdom people don't learn from books or podcasts. It's the kind that comes from falling down, getting up, loving deeply, losing painfully, and still choosing peace, even when anger would be easier. So if you've ever wondered whether the things you quietly understand still matter, let me reassure you. They do. You matter. You are the living keepers of humanity's wisdom. Not because you demand to be heard, but because when you are heard, lives change. And that's why your voice, after 80, is more respected than ever before. Reason number 4, a presence that doesn't need permission. There comes a point in life when your very presence becomes a kind of message. Not because of how loud you are, but because of what you've lived through. By the time you reach your 80s, you've likely outlived your doubts, your critics, and many of the things that once made you second-guess yourself. And what's left is you. Unapologetically you. That authenticity? It's magnetic. When you walk into a room, people may not even realize it at first, but they sit a little straighter. They speak a little softer. They pay closer attention. Because there's something about a person who has nothing left to prove. And everything to offer. It's not about age alone. It's about how you carry your age, with dignity, with humility, and with quiet strength. Let me tell you about Mr. Lawrence. He's 88 now. Wears a worn corduroy jacket. Always carries a small notebook in his pocket. He doesn't talk much. But when he does, people lean in. One afternoon at the park, a group of younger men were debating some news headline, voices rising, opinions flying. Mr. Lawrence sat quietly nearby, listening. Then, almost like a whisper, he said, "You know, sometimes the wisest thing we can do isn't to be right, it's to be kind." The conversation stopped. Not because he forced it, but because everyone felt it. He didn't demand respect. He embodied it. And that's what happens after 80. Your presence no longer asks for space. It creates it. You become someone others instinctively look to, not for permission, but for perspective. So if you've ever questioned whether people still see you, still value what you bring, know this. After all the years, the roles, the noise, what remains is your essence. And that is exactly what makes you unforgettable. And now, we arrive at the final words. If you're over 80, or even just approaching that milestone, I want to leave you with something simple, but deeply true. Your life still holds immense value. Not only to you, but to those who walk beside you. Respect at this age isn't something you have to chase or demand. It's something you embody. It rises from the way you've lived, from how you've treated others, and from how you've protected your dignity, even when no one was watching. The 4 reasons we've explored together today aren't abstract ideas. They're lived truths, etched into your eyes, your words, your quiet pauses, and your gentle laughter. You don't need to prove anything anymore. If people respect you now, it's not because of medals, titles, or stories of the past. It's because of the calm you bring into chaos, the clarity you offer when others are confused, and the energy you carry just by being in the room. Your very presence reminds people of what truly matters in a world obsessed with noise and speed. And if, at times, you felt invisible or underestimated because of your age, please don't let that false belief take root. You are not invisible. You are not irrelevant. In truth, the very qualities that set you apart are the ones that make you irreplaceable. The strength, compassion, and wisdom you've earned across a lifetime. These are the foundation for families, communities, even humanity itself. One of the greatest gifts of aging is that you begin to care less about what others think, and more about what you know to be true. You've learned to let go of the meaningless and focus on what's real. Love, connection, peace, purpose. And in doing so, you've become a lighthouse for those still finding their way through the storm. So walk with quiet confidence. Speak with kindness. And rest in the deep knowing that your life has meaning simply because you have lived it fully. Your dignity. Your resilience. Your presence. These are what people will remember. And these are the very things that, after 80, spark a kind of respect that cannot be faked, bought, or borrowed. It is earned. And you, dear one, have earned it. Thank you for being here with us today. We would love to hear from you. Please leave a comment below, share one insight you took from today, and how you plan to carry it forward into your life. Your words matter to us. Truly. Reading your reflections gives us inspiration far beyond what you might imagine. And if this video brought you value, we kindly ask that you give it a like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to hear these words. Your support helps us continue creating meaningful content. And for that, we are so grateful. Until next time, take care and keep walking with wisdom.